You know, Alex, I spent 20 years believing that if a project didn't involve a pile of sawdust or a shower of sparks from a grinder, it wasn't real making. Digital stuff felt like magic, and not the good kind. It felt like the kind of magic that involves a lot of math and very little soul.
Coming from the guy who literally hand carves dovetails for fun? I'm shocked. But let's be real, Tiger. The first time I saw you holding a microcontroller, you looked like you were trying to perform surgery on a ladybug.
That's a fair assessment. I was terrified I'd static shock the poor thing into the afterlife just by looking at it. But that little blue board, the Arduino Uno, is probably the most patient teacher I've ever had in this shop. It doesn't judge when you plug things in backwards. It just waits for you to figure out why the light isn't blinking.
It's the gateway drug for makers, isn't it? Today we're doing a deep dive into microcontrollers. Because as much as we love the smell of cedar, sometimes you want your spice rack to rotate automatically or your shop lights to dance when you walk in.
Exactly. Think of a microcontroller as the brain of an object. In the old days, if I wanted a gate to open when a truck pulled up, I'd have to rig up some Rube Goldberg nightmare of pulleys and counterweights. Now, I bury a sensor, tell the Arduino to listen for it, and then tell a motor to act.
Use the lingo, Tiger. You're talking about sensors and actuators.
Look at you reading the manual. Yeah, that's the meat and potatoes of it. Sensors are like the eyes and ears, buttons, light sensors, motion detectors. Actuators are the muscles, motors, LEDs, those little buzzers that beep at you. The Arduino is just the nervous system sitting in the middle, making decisions based on the code you fed it.
Okay, but for someone listening who's looking at their first starter kit and feels like they're staring at a bowl of Technicolor spaghetti, where do they actually start? Because writing code sounds an awful lot like homework.
I used to think the same thing. I'm a guy who likes a physical blueprint. But the Arduino language is surprisingly approachable. It's built on C++, but you don't need a computer science degree. Most of it is just telling the board, hey, pin 13, send some power there for a second, then stop.
I remember the first time you tried to blink an LED. You were so proud, I thought you'd won a furniture-making award.
Don't ruin my moment. That first blink is a milestone. It's the moment you realize the digital world can actually reach out and kick the physical world. But I'll tell you, my first real shop project with one was a dust collection gate. I wanted the vacuum to kick on the second my miter saw started spinning.
And did it? Or did we have a Tiger moment?
Oh, it was a catastrophe at first. I didn't understand current versus voltage yet. I thought if a little bit of power was good, a lot would be better. I ended up frying a chip so bad the smell stayed in my hair for 3 days. It didn't just stop working, it let out the magic smoke. Once you let the magic smoke out, you can't put it back in.
That's the technical term? Magic smoke?
It's the sound of $20 evaporating because you forgot a resistor. That's a big one for beginners. You can't just shove raw power into a tiny LED. It's like trying to water a single violet with a fire hose. You need a resistor to choke that flow down so the LED doesn't go pop.
So let's talk hardware for a second. We've got the Uno, which is the classic, but then there's the ESP32, the Raspberry Pi Pico, the Nano. It's a lot of names. If someone is standing in the aisle, or more likely scrolling through an online shop, how do they choose?
For your first rodeo, get the Uno. It's built like a tank. The pins are easy to hit with wires, and there's a million tutorials online. It's the old reliable of the world. Now, if you want your project to talk to the internet, maybe you want your chicken coop to send you a text when the eggs are laid, that's when you look at an ESP32. It's got Wi-Fi built in.
A texting chicken coop. Truly, we are living in the future.
Don't knock it. It keeps the raccoons at bay. But here's the thing. Most makers get choice paralysis. They spend 6 months researching the perfect board and 0 minutes actually plugging things in. My advice, buy a cheap starter kit. It'll come with a breadboard, which is that plastic slab with all the holes, so you can test your circuits without having to solder anything permanently.
Let's talk about that breadboard for a second, because people see those and think it's just a Lego base plate, but there's a logic to how the holes are connected, right?
Huge point. If you don't understand that the rows are connected horizontally and the power rails are vertical, you're going to be chasing your tail for hours. I once spent a whole afternoon trying to figure out why a motor wouldn't spin, only to realize I was plugging the positive and negative into the same row. I was basically running my electricity into a brick wall and wondering why it wasn't getting to the destination.
What about the software side, the Arduino IDE? Is it as scary as it looks?
It's gotten much friendlier. It's basically a text editor. You write your sketch, that's what they call the programs, and hit the upload button. The best part is the library system. If you want to use a specific sensor, like a thermometer, you don't have to write the code that understands how to measure heat from scratch. Someone way smarter than me has already written a library. You just include it at the top of your code, and suddenly your Arduino knows how to talk to that sensor.
It's like hiring a translator, so you don't have to learn a whole new language just to order a coffee.
Exactly. It's the standing on the shoulders of giants approach. But watch out for the copy paste trap. I've seen guys grab a giant block of code from a forum, paste it in, and then have no idea why their project is behaving like a haunted toaster because they didn't take the time to read the comments in the code.
A haunted toaster is actually a great name for a band. But seriously, what's a common rookie move you see when people start building their first real automation project?
Not accounting for bounce.
Bounce like a basketball?
Sort of. When you press a physical button, to our human fingers, it feels like one click. But to a microcontroller that thinks in microseconds, that metal contact inside the button is actually vibrating and hitting the contact dozens of times in a fraction of a second. The Arduino thinks you pushed the button 50 times.
So you try to turn on a light and it just flickers like a strobe light?
Precisely. You have to debounce it, either with a little bit of code that tells the board to ignore any other clicks for the next few milliseconds, or with a capacitor. It's those little real-world physics problems that make this so satisfying. It's where the digital meets the dirty reality of hardware.
We've talked a lot about the how, but let's talk why. You've used these for everything from your solar tracker to an automated Etch-a-Sketch. For someone who's mostly a woodworker or a metal worker, what's the big aha moment?
For me, it was when I realized I could solve problems that off-the-shelf products couldn't. I have a very specific way I like my shop air filtered. I built a system that checks the air quality and only kicks the fans on when the fine dust gets to a certain level. It saves my ears from the noise and saves my electricity bill. It's about taking control of your environment. It turns your workshop into a partner rather than just a room.
I think there's also something to be said for the low stakes of it. If I mess up a piece of walnut, that's $50 into the scrap bin. If I mess up a line of code,
You just hit backspace. It's a very forgiving medium, provided you don't cross your wires. And it teaches you logic. It makes you a better problem solver in the rest of your craft. You start looking at everything and asking, how does this input lead to that output?
careful, Tiger. Next thing you know, you'll be automated feeding the dog and building a robot to sand your tabletops.
Hey, if I could build a robot that actually enjoyed sanding, I'd be a billionaire and we'd be recording this podcast from a yacht.
That's the Knocklock project from the starter book, isn't it?
It is. It's a classic. It's simple, it's fun, and it uses a piezo element as a sensor. It's a great example of using something tiny to do something cool.
So, what's the parting wisdom for the Tiger Den listeners today? If they're looking at that unopened box of electronics on the shelf, what's the first step?
Don't wait for a big project idea. Just make an LED blink. Then make it blink when you push a button. Then make it blink when it gets dark in the room. You don't build a house by starting with the roof. You start by laying one brick. These microcontrollers are just very small, very smart bricks.
And maybe keep a fire extinguisher handy, just in case of the magic smoke?
Just keep your grounds together and your power separate, and you'll be just fine. Trust the process, and don't be afraid of the upload error message. It's just the board's way of telling you that you're about to learn something new.
This was fun, Tiger. I might actually let you help me wire up that automated garden planter now.
Oh boy, get the jumper wires ready. We're going digital.